Well, one day after the government shot down Pierre Poilievre's idea, they would stop the carbon tax on just home heating. But here it is again. The NDP have a motion, and Pierre gives the finger? I don't know. Check it out.
The Carbon Tax Coalition with the Bloc separatists. In so doing, the Liberals have given the finger to Canadians. They gave the finger to Canadians literally while they were voting to raise taxes on the people of this country. They gave the finger to the elderly woman who can't keep her heating bill paid.
Point of order, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Government House Leader.
Speaker, I don't believe anyone standing up and suggesting that any member of the House is giving the finger to Canadians as appropriate, Madam Speaker. And I would suggest to you that it is unparliamentary in terms of what it is that the member has stated. I do think it's...
So I just want to remind members to be careful on the words that they use or the terms that they're using. If it's causing disorder in the House, then it becomes a problem. So I just want to remind members of that. The honourable member for the honourable official opposition leader.
Madam Speaker, I agree that giving the finger is unparliamentary, but it was caught on tape, literally while the Liberals were voting to keep the tax on, in fact, quadruple the tax on home heating. They were literally giving the finger to Canadians, the same Canadians who will choose between eating and heating, the single mother who is skipping meals so that her children don't have to, the 2 million Canadians who are going to a food bank, a record-smashing number of people. They gave the finger to the working class people in Nova Scotia who are now living in campgrounds after 8 years of this Prime Minister because they cannot afford housing. They gave the finger to the countless young people who are stuck living in their parents' basements because housing costs have doubled.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary has another point of order.
Maybe I'm explaining it wrong. I do not believe it's appropriate for a member to be able to stand in their place and say that they're giving the finger to someone. I believe that it's the context. If you take a look at Beauchene's 6th edition, you will find it's the content and it's the context in which one says something and telling the Parliament of Canada that so-and-so is giving the finger to Canadians on this point, giving the finger to Canadians on this point. It'd be the equivalent of me saying that the leader of the Conservative Party is giving Canadians the finger.
Again, this is becoming a point of debate, and I do want to remind the members that there was an issue that was raised yesterday. The Speaker at the time had indicated that he would come back to the House if need be. I would just ask the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition to please continue with his speech. And again, as he's seen that there is some disorder that is happening in the House, and I would just ask him to please be careful on how he is wording his speech. Another point of order, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Seeking clarification on this because I will be addressing this particular legislation or this opposition motion.
Please. I am listening and I'm hearing some of these comments that are not very respectful. I have the floor right now, and when I give the floor to somebody else, it is their responsibility to speak without being disrupted, and that will tell someone when their time is up. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, and it's just purely for clarification purposes. And that is, if I'm speaking inside the chamber and I say that so-and-so across the way is giving the finger towards Canadians on the environment, would that be parliamentary for me to be able to say that?
And I just want to remind the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary that this is an issue, and the Honourable Member of the Official Leader of the Official Opposition, this is an issue that was raised yesterday. There wasn't a determination as to whether that was substantiated, and therefore I would just ask members, and as I've indicated, the Speaker did indicate that he would come back to the House if need be. I know that I'm not sure where that work is at this point, but I would just ask everyone to please be respectful in the House. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We agree that it is absolutely unparliamentary for someone to give the finger on the floor of the House of Commons, and that is why we called on the Liberal caucus, the entire Liberal caucus, to apologize for the conduct of one of its MPs. And by the way, the Speaker did not say we were not allowed to address the incident. He did say he would come back, but we are free to speak, and we will not be censured. Madam Speaker, we know that the Prime Minister now has a carbon tax coalition with the separatist Bloc Québécois. And we know that he did this because he could not maintain his existing coalition. The pressure that Conservatives mounted on the NDP forced them to collapse and admit that they have been wrong all along. But I remind the House that there has only been one party that has been consistent throughout and will be consistent forever. We are the only common sense party that will axe the tax for everything, for everybody, for everywhere, forever. I note that the NDP today has now performed yet another flip-flop. Originally they wanted to quadruple the tax. Yesterday they said they wanted to pause the tax. And today they won't take a position because they have omitted mention of the Prime Minister's quadrupling of the tax into the motion. They don't want to stick by their position. They think that they will quietly sneak back into the carbon tax coalition and have nobody notice. Well, their constituents are noticing. And that's why working class people across the country are abandoning the NDP in droves. Even the NDP Premier of Manitoba has now said that the carbon tax represents an attack on working class people, and therefore it cannot work as climate change policy. And I will note that we're getting all pain and no gain from this Prime Minister on the carbon tax, because his own Environment Commissioner came out just today and confirmed that under the current policies, including the carbon tax, he will miss his 2030 climate targets. He has missed his Paris Accord climate targets again and again. Emissions continue to rise under his leadership, which proves that the carbon tax was never an environmental policy. It was a tax policy designed to pick the pockets of people and put more money in the hands of politicians to spend. This is political and governmental greed at its worst, and no wonder Canadians have never been worse off than they are after 8 years of this Prime Minister. Mais ce que je trouve intéressant.
What I find interesting, though, is that the Bloc announced a coalition, a costly coalition with the Prime Minister, and that was confirmed in La Presse, where Liberal ministers said they had a deal with the Bloc to keep this Prime Minister in power for another 2 years. Yesterday, the Bloc leader saved the Prime Minister.
Well, the Conservative motion didn't go forward. They should have kind of worked a deal with the Bloc, I think. It really would have helped Canadians. It just had no effect now. What do you think? Leave your comment down below. I'm getting doubtable. I'm getting attacked from the Conservative side, so I don't know. They don't have FEC, and it's kind of hurts. Like, subscribe. Have a good day.